Hello, everybody. I have missed you. It has been a little while, and my nose is red like Rudolph because I have a zit right there. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope your Christmas shopping is done. I hope everything is stress free. Oh, I added a new sign. Oh, wrong side. A new sign. I got that at Hobby Lobby. Uh, yeah. So I've missed you guys. I'll be on some next week. I'm off Christmas Eve and Christmas, so I will be around. Thank you, Poke Mom. I've definitely missed you guys. Hi, Jamie, Poke Mom, Forrest, Amanda, Charmaine. I saw Forrest and Ricky in here too. Definitely have missed you guys. I've been so busy, super busy. Like so busy, I have just come home and eaten and fallen asleep, and that's been my life. So, but I've definitely missed you guys. So I do want to warn you guys. Quite a few of the videos that I have this morning do deal with sexual assault. So if that is triggering for you, today may not be the best show for you to watch. I am going to talk about Diddy and Jay-Z. And I am going to talk about the French trial with Giselle. So just want to throw that out there. And of course, there are going to be other topics. We do cover some pretty tough subjects, but most of you guys know that by now. But here is the warning.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Viewer discretion is advised. And of course, we're going to talk about Luigi. We're going to talk about what's happened in Germany. And we'll see how far we get because I am still going to go into work today to get some overtime. So, and tomorrow too. But I'm off Christmas Eve and Christmas. So that's awesome. So yeah, definitely going to stream then because I'm just going to be here. Hi, Missy. I've missed you too. All right, so we are going to jump into it. We're going to first get started with an update on Brad Simpson here in San Antonio, here in Texas. His wife, Susan Simpson, is still missing. They did have a funeral for her. They did find DNA on a saw, so she is suspected to be deceased. He has not told anybody where the body is. He wanted to see his children. The adult children will not see him. I hope for the family's sake he does tell them where her body is so they can give a proper funeral. They had a funeral, but they didn't have a body to be able to lay to rest. So, that's a hole for them. I'm sure that they would like to say goodbye properly. All right.
Now at noon, Brad Simpson back in court. The Olmos Park man is accused of killing his wife, Suzanne Simpson, back in October. He had a hearing this morning to modify his bond conditions. KENS 5's Megan Reyna was in the courtroom and joins us live. And Megan, what came out of today's hearing?
Well, Brad Simpson wants to see his 4 children, but today both the prosecution and defense came to an agreement that would at least open the door for contact with 3 of them. Previously, he was prohibited from speaking to all 4 of them. Now according to attorneys, he can contact his 15-year-old son through letters, and his 2-year-old daughters have the opportunity if they want to speak with their father. However, the prosecutor said right now they don't have any desire to, and he still can't speak with his youngest, who is just 5 years old. But things did take an emotional turn in court when the defense brought up allegations of family members violating the judge's gag order, which prohibits witnesses with speaking with the media about the case. Brad's attorney called out Barton Simpson for going on a podcast with Express News about domestic violence and Suzanne Simpson's sister, Teresa Clark.
And you don't need to be nervous. Nothing bad's going to happen.
No, I know,
here.
but I'm just very scared right now because this whole thing is very upsetting to me because this is my little sister.
I understand.
And I feel responsible for her because I've known her since I was 3 years old. And I would never want anything to happen to her.
And I understand.
And so I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm so upset by this whole thing.
And Clark was just given a warning by the judge to follow that gag order. The next hearing for Brad Simpson is set on February 12th at 9 a.m., but a trial date has not been set yet. Reporting live.
It sucks to not be able to talk about what you're going through and what your family's going through. I know it's to protect the integrity of the case. I was unable to talk for 4 years or so. It is, you feel like you're muzzled. You feel like, I can't really describe what it feels like to be forced to not say anything about what you're going through when you want to be able to scream from the rooftops what's happening and what happened to your loved one. But, they do have to protect the integrity of the case. I get that. I do feel for her family so much because they have no idea where she is or what exactly happened. They just know from the evidence that she is deceased. So I wish I could give a hug to her sister. So now we're going to move on to France. I'm sure you guys have heard about the trial that happened in France. Giselle Pellicot, I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. It's French, so probably not. Was raped for years, raped by over 50 men. Her husband drugged her, and she had no idea that this was happening. But every person that was put on trial was convicted. So dozens of men were convicted of rape for what happened to her. And she didn't have to reveal who she was, but she did. She showed her face. She let everybody know what she went through. People will know who she is for generations because of her courage. She's showing other sexual assault victims that it's not their fault. They shouldn't be ashamed. Yeah? No? Hold on. Sorry. My roommate came in to ask me a question, looking for something that is definitely not in my room. So, anyway. So the thing that Giselle did is she took the shame that people think that she should be feeling and reverse it on these rapists. These men have been covering their faces. When they come out of the courthouse, they have masks on and hats on and covering their face. So the shame has gone to them instead of her, which she shouldn't feel ashamed. But unfortunately, victims of sexual assault do frequently feel shame for what was done to them.
Tonight, the mass rape trial that shocked the world. Cheers in southeast France as 72-year-old Dominique Pellicot was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The crimes, drugging his wife Giselle over the course of a decade and inviting dozens of men to sexually assault her while she was unconscious. In the courtroom, 50 other men also sentenced for their roles in the assaults. Waiving her right to anonymity, Giselle Pellicot became a symbol of courage and an icon for women's rights groups around the world. Outside the Avignon courthouse today, Giselle Pellicot spoke out,
Jamais regretté cette décision.
saying she never regretted her decision, also adding that she shares the same fight with other victims. She chose to show her face while the accused hid theirs, so that the shame, she said in court, swapped sides, lying with the men who abused her and not their victim. Men from all walks of life, aged 26 to 74. One was her neighbor. Women's rights activists say Giselle Pellicot will be remembered for refusing to stay silent.
How do you think she will be remembered?
I think she will be remembered as a woman who refused to be silenced and to be ashamed, and who made the other women a huge gift, the right to speak and to be heard.
A woman who walked into the trial an ordinary grandmother and despite her pain and trauma, walked out a feminist icon. Hala Gorani, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay
Yeah, so I don't even know her, and I'm very proud of her. People asked if she was going to keep her last name, and she said that she is because, her children, her grandchildren have the last name, and she doesn't want them to be ashamed of their last name, so she is going to keep her husband's last name. She really is an inspiration and just incredibly courageous. And I hope that she has been an inspiration to other victims. So now gonna go to Milwaukee. There was a school shooting a few days ago, and it was a young lady. I believe she was 15. She was a newer student. She did have an entire manifesto. She did post it on her Twitter account, but she posted the Google link and it wasn't public. But somebody was able to get the manifesto somehow, uh, though I can't verify the legitimacy of it because it's people on social media. I'm supposed to trust this random person on Twitter that says they got it from XYZ. If it comes from law enforcement or something, that's different. But supposedly there's a manifesto as to why she did what she did.
Preparing to say goodbye, classmates of the 14-year-old shot and killed in Madison prepare for her funeral tomorrow.
And tonight, we are learning new information about the 15-year-old prosecutors say opened fire. Officials at Abundant Life Christian School say Natalie Rupnow was in her first semester at the school. The attack that took the life of a classmate and a teacher and ended with her suicide lasted only 8 minutes. Stephanie Quirk is here after we sat down one-on-one with Madison's police chief. And Steph, he's making his own headline today.
Yeah, Ben and Kim, as the investigation continues, Chief Barnes announced today he's taking his skills to Seattle, but tonight he remains focused because police still want to figure out what motivated the shooting and how a man from California could be connected as well.
We have joined an exclusive club, and that's a city that's had a school shooting.
Just 4 days after a 15-year-old opened fire at Abundant Life Christian School and killed 2 people, police and the community in Madison are all wondering the same thing.
We have to get to the underlying issue of why these things are happening.
What motivated Natalie Rupnow to shoot and kill a fellow classmate and a teacher and put 6 others in the hospital?
The most troubling thing is that, the age of the person involved, the shooter, was 15.
A school official tells the AP Rupnow was only in her first semester at ALCS. But now Chief Sean Barnes says the FBI is involved in investigating a possible link between Rupnow and a man in California. A man who investigators say told her he was planning his own attack on an unspecified government building.
What we need to determine is if that was an actual connection, if they actually knew each other.
Connection or not, school officials say Monday's attack lasted 8 minutes. Police were at the school within 3 minutes of the 911 call. And just 20 minutes after that, patients were being taken to hospitals. But the 15-year-old girl behind the gun shot herself inside the school and later died at the hospital.
We knew something was going on. And then we were alerted to the fact that there was a tone alert for an active shooter.
We know the names and faces of the 2 innocent people killed, 14-year-old Ruby Vergara and 42-year-old Aaron West. Of the 6 others hurt, 2 are still critical.
Everyone in that building is a victim. Everyone who was in that study hall had an equal chance of being hurt or killed. And so they're all victims.
In a time of reflection, a time of healing, a time of grief, Chief Barnes stayed in Madison, his community, even as his new job was announced.
I just left a debriefing with some of our command staff, and to put it mildly, emotions were high.
And Chief Barnes' work isn't done in Madison yet, at least not until January. For now, the governor has ordered flags to be flown at half staff until Monday. And just days before Christmas, 2 funerals will take place. Ben, Kim?
Yeah, mental health is abysmal in this country. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if it's the economy, the internet, social media, people getting radicalized by talking to other people on the internet. I have no idea. But we desperately need to do something. Some states are starting to pass laws where you have to be a certain age to have social media. Florida passed a law, but I don't know that that's going to help. Hello, where's Chloe, Lily, Polly, Queen Olive? Thank you guys for joining. And we don't really have the facilities to really truly help people that are not doing well mental health wise, or like with schizophrenia or whatever. We don't have very many mental health beds. It's not cheap to get mental health help if you don't have insurance. And we also don't have a ton of people in the mental health field. If you've ever had a therapist, then you know it's not always easy to get appointments. I had a therapist that wanted me to see her weekly, but it was literally impossible for me to schedule a weekly appointment. I think I was able to schedule once a month, and it just became such a hassle to schedule that I stopped seeing that therapist. And I've had my own struggles in the mental health realm. Well, in multiple ways, here and trying to see professionals, and I have insurance. So I don't know what the solution is, but we definitely need to do something other than what we are doing. And, I'm going to segue into the next part, talking about things that are going on in this country. Um, we're going to talk about Luigi Maggioni. So Luigi, you would have to be living under a rock to not know who that is. Luigi shot the United Healthcare CEO in New York. I honestly thought that he was going to be some professional assassin or something, the way that he pulled it off and then got caught in a McDonald's. I don't know, like the perp walk that they did the other day in New York, it looked like a scene out of a Batman movie where like it looked like, one of the scenes where like the henchmen come and like break them out. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened at this point. Like I was expecting something like that to happen. So I have a few videos about Luigi. So going to talk about some of the federal charges. He has now been charged with terrorism and a federal crime. He is possibly going to be put up for the death penalty. He could get the death penalty with the federal charges, even though New York doesn't have the death penalty, the federal government does. I have some entries from his notebook, criminal defense attorney that's going to discuss the charges against him. And there was an interview the other day where, yeah, it was a summer blockbuster perp walk. That's exactly what it felt like. It was, and then the mayor was there and SWAT and all that stuff. Like it was just ridiculous. They definitely could have just transported him in like an unmarked vehicle and done it that way rather than make this big, huge thing about it. And I don't know why the New York mayor was there. Like, sir, are you trying to make us forget about your FBI stuff that you have going on? Because we're not forgetting. Definitely not. Chloe, are you talking about the judges? The judge and the sheriff? Kentucky, I don't know which Kentucky case, unless it's that one. All right, so I have about 15 minutes of videos about Luigi.
An accused CEO killer, Luigi Mangione, woke up behind bars in New York after waiving extradition. You see that very long walk and chains there. His new home is Brooklyn's Federal Metropolitan Detention Center, and his jailhouse neighbor, how's this for a headline? Sean Diddy Combs. So after arriving to New York, the 26-year-old murder suspect appeared in federal court where a judge read the federal charges against him. Let's go live to CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano covering this every step of the way. Welcome in on a Friday, my friend. So walk us through what happened in that Manhattan courtroom.
Well, Reed, yesterday, before he even arrived in Manhattan, in that courtroom, in that federal courthouse, Luigi Mangione, as you said, was brought into New York City, not just heavily escorted by several agencies, but led by the NYPD. There was also Mayor Eric Adams who was there. It was a very unique arrival to New York for perhaps law enforcement and the district attorney. It could have been some kind of victory, but you have to keep in mind the way that people are seeing this person online, how they're celebrating perhaps his intention and even his actions in a very disturbing way. And so there is a lot of questions about how people are going to remember that walk. Once he goes into the federal courthouse and he is processed for these federal charges, which were completely unexpected, according to his defense attorney in court yesterday. He changed. He was wearing more of that preppy look that we're used to seeing in his social media presence when he was, a fraternity brother at UPenn with a button-down shirt, a sweater, khaki pants, very different from the prison jumpsuit, perhaps because he's facing a judge who is reading his rights and is reading his charges. Those charges, especially the one where it's using a firearm for murder, could carry a maximum death penalty sentence. So the situation was extremely serious for him. And his attorney at one point asked for clarity and said, wait a minute, I was told that I was going to be brought here for an arraignment in the state criminal court for those first-degree murder charges, even in furtherance of terrorism that came from the Manhattan district attorney, from Alvin Bragg's office. Instead, the FBI takes him. He's brought into this federal courthouse, and we're learning about these very serious charges where my client is facing the death penalty. The attorney seemed to need a lot more clarity, which the judge allowed, set a date for next month, for January, for his preliminary hearing. And here we are still waiting on when he's going to be arraigned on the state charges.
Is the root of the defense attorney's concerns here a double jeopardy concern? Is that what she's getting at?
Well, that seems to be the case that she is building. I mean, we know that this defense attorney, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, who is married to Mark Agnifilo, who, by the way, is P. Diddy's defense attorney, and is also representing Mangione. He was there sitting to his left side while his wife, Karen Agnifilo, was to the right side of Mangione. She, according to legal experts, seems to be building a case around double jeopardy, but she says that the charges are contradicting each other. What I learned from talking to our legal analyst, Ricky Kleeman, yesterday, who's a defense attorney and a former prosecutor, she's saying, look, this is a very rare case. And Mangione's attorney called it extremely unusual or highly unusual case, something she hasn't seen in 30 years. And Ricky agrees. It seems like the federal charges are in some way more resonant with what you would see in a state case, and vice versa. Why it is also innovative, perhaps, is because law enforcement at the federal and state levels are trying to make an example of this person. But at the same time, I asked Ricky, isn't this setting a very, very high bar, given the rarity of both cases, of all of the counts, and of the either first degree in New York and Manhattan, which is very rare, and these charges that don't include terrorism at the federal level, where he could face the death penalty. And she agrees. She says, yes, it seems like it's going to be a very difficult case, especially given the overwhelming support that, I have to repeat, disturbing way, but, understandably, given the way that the health insurance system, people are frustrated, but the fact that this person committed murder, he's being celebrated as some kind of hero, it's quite disturbing. And, you have these federal and state charges that are going above and beyond what they're used to prosecuting in a different, unusual way. Are they shooting themselves in the foot? Perhaps.
One thing that is for sure, they are wanting to send a very strong message. Lily Luciano, thank you so much. It's a masterclass in legal wrangling.
Maybe shooting yourself in the foot was not the right thing to say in this commentary. I think what Luigi did was okay. no, because I'm not okay with anybody being murdered, regardless of who they are. I feel horrible for his family, his children. Um, However, I am also upset with the healthcare system and how things are going. So I understand his frustration. I do not agree with just, killing somebody in cold blood like that. Maybe somebody should have hacked their emails and exposed them that way, or I don't know, kidnap him. uh, Not that I'm condoning that, but I don't know. I just feel like there's so many other ways to get his point across. And it's Luigi's life is ruined now too. And he seemed like a very smart young man. He's a good looking young man. And I mean, just saw the like earlier today that he has already gotten 150 people have put money in his account. Uh, a bunch of people have already sent him letters. He's already gotten 50 letters. He's gotten 40 emails. I don't know how people are finding out how to contact him, but people are already doing that. They're already reaching out to him. Yeah, and what he did isn't going to change the medical system. It might. I mean, it could somewhat. I doubt it. The thing that I don't like is uh, any frustration with anything that with the healthcare or CEOs are being called copycats. There was a woman that was on the phone with her health insurance, and she got denied for something. I don't remember what it was, and she said the denied, I don't even remember, dispose, whatever. She said the three words and then she said, "You're next." And then she was arrested and charged with a very high charge, which that I don't necessarily agree with because she was emotional and said something stupid. I don't agree with her being charged so high. And then there was a CEO that was stabbed at a Christmas party a couple days ago, and then they're like, "Oh, a copycat." How is that a copycat? These things have been happening for generations. Let's see. Yeah, the situation with one of the, I think it was Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they were going to set time frames for anesthesia that would be covered in surgery, and after that time, it would no longer be covered. They backtracked on that, so I don't know if what happened made them change their mind or public outrage. I would assume uh, both. But there is a class war already. Um, the middle class has been squeezed. There's not as many people in the middle class as there used to be. The economy is not doing well. Things are very expensive. Rent is insane. Being able to buy a house is a pipe dream. Like, it's your good luck if you can buy a house. They're so much more expensive than they used to be. I'm lucky I was able to rent the house that I have and pay the rent that I do and have fantastic landlords because, yeah, I don't make enough money to buy this house. So maybe it'll make some change, maybe it won't. But regardless, um, I'm not okay with him uh, taking somebody's life, but I'm also not okay with the amount of charges that they're piling up because, like, saying that he's trying to incite all this and whatever, like, they're charging him as a terrorist. I don't necessarily agree with that either. But he did kill somebody and he should absolutely be held accountable for that. So we'll see how this plays out. Depending on who they get on a juror, they may not even get a conviction, but we'll see. So the next video that I have is some of the notebook entries. I did hear, I don't know if this is true, but somebody had said that he had said when he was in Japan, he had called the people in Japan NPCs because they don't cross the road unless the light says that they can cross the road. They don't jaywalk and stuff like that. And he was calling them NPCs for doing those kinds of things. So his ideologies may not line up with people the way that they think they do.
Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, is in New York City after waiving extradition from Pennsylvania. He's now facing both federal and state prosecution. ABC's Andrew Fujii reports.
Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, is waking up in a New York City prison. After waiving extradition from Pennsylvania, Mangione was escorted by motorcade to an NYPD plane, which flew him to Long Island, where he boarded a helicopter for Manhattan. The 26-year-old was met by the mayor and police commissioner, then escorted by dozens of FBI agents and NYPD officers.
You see all the security around him? I mean, I don't know if President-elect Trump has that amount of security around him. I'm not being facetious. So he's got to be in a state of shock. And he's meeting all these people now for the first time. There's strangers all around, and he's in a very strange environment.
Once in court, Mangione kept his head down as the federal charges, which could carry the death penalty, were read.
We're going to respectfully decline to make any comment at this time, but Mr. Mangione appreciates everyone's support.
Prosecutors quoted entries in a notebook allegedly recovered from Mangione. One from August reads, "The details are finally coming together. The target is insurance because it checks every box." In October, 1.5 months. This investor conference is a true windfall. The complaint says the notebook describes an intent to whack the CEO of one of the insurance companies at its investor conference. Prosecutors say hundreds of hours of video suggest the shooter undertook extensive efforts to identify the victim, place the victim under surveillance, and track the victim's whereabouts. Despite the heinous crime alleged, Mangione finding supporters outside court critical of the health insurance industry.
She has a chronic condition that's never going to go away.
And because of how long it took, my back is permanently damaged. I have to get yearly surgeries to burn the nerves in my back.
Universal health care now or free Luigi?
Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
Mangione is facing several charges, including first-degree murder and furtherance of terrorism and unlawful possession of a ghost gun. He could receive a potential life sentence or the death penalty.
Okay, those protesters were a little ridiculous. Free Luigi! Universal health care, because it's that easy, guys. You can just make universal health care like that. If it was that easy, it would have happened. I do agree that we are in a healthcare crisis. Health insurance gets more and more expensive every year, and it covers less and less and less. The deductibles are getting higher and higher and higher. There's stuff that I haven't been able to get checked out because I can't afford it. My doctor wants me to follow up with a cardiologist and do all this other testing and stuff. I can't because it costs me $500 and some out of pocket to get my doctor to do the test. And then he's like, yeah, follow up with a cardiologist. Thanks, bud. So glad I spent that $500 and some to run on a treadmill and do all this other stuff and have y'all monitor me. And then I get to do the same thing with the cardiologist and spend more money because he's a specialist. Do I want to not know what's going on with my heart? No, I definitely want to know, but I can't afford it because I have a deductible that is thousands of dollars for testing. Like, I go to the doctor, I don't have to pay a copay, but to do anything past that, I have to meet the deductible before they cover it. Sometimes there's a discount, like the price of the test is, if you don't have insurance, is like $500, and then if you have insurance, sometimes they'll negotiate it down to $250, but they don't cover it. So yeah, healthcare is a joke. I do think I don't even want to say that this is a positive thing that's coming out of this, because it's a horrible thing that happened. But this is forcing people to have conversations about the healthcare system. Maybe something will change, maybe not. Maybe he had some psychotic break and started targeting the insurance companies. I'm curious to see what else is in that notebook when he's decided, things are coming together. The target is insurance. What made him do that? apparently he didn't even have United Healthcare. So I'm very curious to see myself. So here's a criminal defense attorney that's going to break down some of the criminal complaint.
Now let's get right to criminal defense attorney Arthur Aidala for a closer look at this case. Great to have you, as always. I know you got a chance to see the criminal complaint. What stood out to you?
What really stood out was the fact that it exists. It is very rare this is a straight up murder case, right? I mean, the Manhattan DA's office is talking about terrorism. That's ridiculous. The feds almost never get involved in a straight up like murder assassination case. So they have the ability to do so, and they did so here. But there are real like double jeopardy issues. He's charged basically with murder in 2 jurisdictions. And that is not the way things usually play out. And, you know, Lindsay, it saddens me a little bit because what it shows to me is that justice is not blind. You know, here in New York City, I think a week before this took place, some guy stabbed and killed 3 people. 3 people in the morning rush hour. Poor guy's fishing. He stabs him. Another construction worker. Another woman's just going to work. And yet we didn't see the mayor involved with that. I mean, we did immediately when he was caught. We didn't see the feds talking about, well, we're going to go after this guy. We didn't see district attorneys saying you killed 3 different people. We're going to find a way to charge you with murder in the first degree. But here you have a highly educated young man, comes from a prestigious family. You have he's a CEO who's dead, not an Asian man who's fishing, who's dead. You know, it's just not the way it normally is.
Because you feel that it's because this is a higher profile case because of who the victim was?
Yeah, who the victim is and now who the defendant is. Absolutely. And it's just, I'm a little idealistic, and I feel like cases should be treated the same. And this case is being treated in an extraordinary manner. I was at the courthouse today. There was pandemonium. They didn't know, was he going to the state courthouse or was he going to the federal courthouse? The defense attorney asked the judge, like, Judge, I thought I was going across the street. I know Karen well. I thought I was going across the street to the state courthouse. Why am I here? And the judge said, I'm not really sure.
So you would agree with her then, because she has said, Mangione's attorney, that the federal charges are a pile-on and that this raises issues of double jeopardy, which you just mentioned.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, Lindsay, I'm trying to, in preparation for this segment, I was trying to think of another situation where things have happened. Years ago when there was the riots in Brooklyn, and it was a young Jewish man who was killed by a black man, and there were all racial things going on. That after the acquittal in state court, they then brought charges in federal court, but under a Civil Rights Act, not under a straight up murder act. Here, it's like the same crime in 2 jurisdictions. That's basically un-American.
If you were to be defending Luigi Mangione, thoughts on a defense?
I mean, the first thing you have to do is his mental health. I mean, in state court, when you go and do an arraignment, you could ask a judge immediately to have your client evaluated by a doctor appointed by the judge to see if he's mentally fit to even go forward. Then you hire your own experts and you try to correlate his back pain, which was apparently debilitating, and how it would affect the human brain so that the brain breaks, and you just try to go for mitigation, Lindsay. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a defense here that he didn't do it. It's going to be, he did it, his brain broke, and instead of him spending life in prison or in the feds, the death penalty, let's put him away for a long time, but not forever.
Aaron Katersky described him as docile and stone-faced in court. Any thoughts of?
He's got to be in shock. Think about where he was today. He started off in Pennsylvania. You're in shackles there. You're in front of a judge there in handcuffs and ankle braces. Then you get on a plane. You fly to Long Island. Then you get on a helicopter. You come here. You land. There's the mayor with, you see all the security around him? I mean, I don't know if President-elect Trump has that amount of security around him. I'm not being facetious. So he's got to be in a state of shock. And he's meeting all these people now for the first time. There's strangers all around. And he's in a very strange environment. He's in a federal courthouse with a federal judge, and tomorrow, the next day, he's going to be a state courthouse. So and where he is right now is not a pleasant place to be in the Metropolitan Detention Center. I don't like going there as a visitor, God forbid, as an inmate.
God forbid. And Diddy's there too. Yeah, New York doesn't have the death penalty, so this is them getting around New York not having the death penalty. And I don't personally understand how he can be charged in 2 different jurisdictions for the same crime, for the same murder. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it might end up biting them in the butt. So I don't know if this was Access Hollywood or News Nation that did this interview, but there was a reporter outside of the prison, and the prisoners were watching the news report and then answering the reporter's questions by yelling out about Luigi. Um, and if you notice, Luigi's eyebrows have been cleaned up. He's got a haircut. So the people in prison have been very nice to him. It looks like he is respected in prison. And yes, his attorney is married to Diddy's attorney. So he does have a high-powered, expensive attorney. I mean, he does come from a very wealthy family. Yeah, he was screaming out. I did see that where Luigi had yelled when they were moving him from the vehicle into one of the jails, but I think that was where in Pennsylvania. Maybe he's in New York now. So here's the video of them doing the weird TV interview by the inmates yelling out answers.
There they are. I can't tell if you can hear this.
Oh, we can hear it. That's the sound of inmates inside of the Pennsylvania State Correctional Facility where Luigi Mangione was being held Wednesday, December 11th. A reporter with News Nation who was covering the story was able to have an unorthodox interview after realizing that people inside were watching their channel, leading to him being able to get information from the inside.
All right, so earlier today I was reporting outside these prison walls when all of a sudden I heard my name, and I couldn't tell if they were, catcalling me or heckling me or even saying my name whatsoever. And so I started reporting on Luigi Mangione's prison conditions as I was finding them out. And as soon as the live shot was over, that's when I turned around and they said, "The conditions suck." And so that was my confirmation. Oh my gosh, they're watching News Nation at that very moment. I pulled out my camera, I recorded, and here's more of that interaction. Take a look from earlier today.
News Nation anchor Ashley Banfield was also able to get a few answers out of the inmates live on air, asking the questions, and after a bit of a delay, viewers could hear the yells from within the prison.
Hey, Alex, can I ask you a favor? Can I just ask the guys if they can hear me right now to answer yes or no very loud? Does Luigi have television in his single cell?
No.
Unreal. They said no, right? Obviously, we have a little bit of a delay, but they're getting.
The journalists were trying to get information on 26-year-old Mangione, who is facing charges including murder. He's accused of allegedly killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, who was fatally shot in New York City last Wednesday. Mangione was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania on Monday and has been denied bail. His lawyer, Thomas Dickey, gave some insight to CNN on Tuesday as to how his client was doing in custody.
I've been telling people all day to use their common sense. Here's a young man who's, apparently going to be or has been charged with a very serious, one of the most serious offenses a person could be charged with. He's in prison without bail, as you previously mentioned. And so, the common sense would say, he's concerned.
But on Wednesday, the reporter and anchor at News Nation were getting real-time information from those jailed along with Mangione.
So I'm going to read out the menu, and then I'm going to ask the guys if it was any good, the dinner tonight. So the breakfast was fruit, grits, bread, eggs, and coffee. He had the choice. The lunch was porcupine meatballs, potatoes, bread, and fruit. And tonight's dinner, mac and cheese, pasta bean casserole, and stewed tomatoes with broccoli. So guys, was dinner good, yes or no? What
terrible,
are they saying? I heard terrible. I heard terrible.
They're They're saying heck no. They're saying BS. They're saying terrible. They're saying that that's not what they are eating.
And both the anchor and the reporter couldn't hide their reactions at how unique this interview was.
They're getting the questions and they're giving us the answers. So
getting
Luigi
it.
does not have. Wow, this is quite something. This is the strangest interview I've ever conducted.
Me too, Ashley.
So that's interesting. This is, and I've also never seen them take so many photos of somebody. Like, here's the mugshot, here's another mugshot, here's him in the cell. Definitely a lot of photos, and I'm not really sure that that's helping anything. I feel like the government and law enforcement's feeding into, they're making him more of a hero by doing what they're doing. And yes, Kat, I did see the taper fade and them grooming was a message from the prisoners to the guards to not abuse him because he's being looked after. I think Luigi will do just fine in prison. He has a lot of people that are supporting him, and strangers are already putting money on his books and sending money, sending letters. And also, what are porcupine meatballs? Are they like a type of meatball, or are they feeding the prisoners porcupine? I'm going to assume that it's not actual porcupine. They're slow cooked or baked meatballs. Got it. Okay, well, I'm glad that they're not feeding them porcupine, because I don't think that that would be okay, or any cheaper for that matter. Yeah, the food's not good. I don't know. I have no idea what prison food tastes like, but from what I've seen and heard, it's not good. So in Miami, there are twin brothers that have been terrorizing women, and they have been charged with sex crimes. There was another man that was also indicted that helped them by holding women down. I'm glad to see them accountable. In Miami rich people get away with a lot there. Miami is catered to the rich. I lived there for over a decade. It's been ruined even more. So these people probably thought that they could get away with it because they have money, but I'm glad to see that they're they've been arrested and that they're having to go to court. I think a lot of what's happening now is that it doesn't matter how rich and powerful you are. What's done is coming to light. Victims aren't as afraid as they used to be, thank God. Rice for filler. Oh, that's what it is. They put rice in the meatballs. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Rice is cheaper than meat, so that would make sense that a prison would put rice in the meatballs to make it go further for filler. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so now moving on to Miami.
So happening today, a family friend accused of helping the Alexander brothers rape a woman could be released from jail this morning.
Ohad Fisherman was granted bond, but still remains in custody, and they all have a court date today. CBS News Miami, Steve Majiri joining us live from the Correctional Center. And Steve, Fisherman was out of the country. He was on his honeymoon, returned this week, and is now in custody.
That's right. Ohad Fisherman was on his honeymoon in Japan and just got back this week. He was arraigned on Wednesday, and a judge granted his request to bond out, and he is expected to finalize that today. He does have a hearing scheduled for this morning. Now, to recap, Ohad Fisherman is accused of helping twins Alon and Oren Alexander rape a woman. His attorney says his client denies all accusations against him. The Alexander twins face sexual battery charges here in Florida, along with federal sex trafficking charges with their brother Tall Alexander. The brothers and Fisherman again have denied any wrongdoing and plan on fighting these charges. Fisherman's lawyer argued for a bond, and prosecutors, though, wanted him remanded while awaiting trial. Now, a judge granted bond for Fisherman. It will be a $25,000 corporate surety bond and a $260,000 personal surety guarantee by his wife and mother-in-law. Fisherman's conditions also include house arrest with an ankle monitor, and he must stay away from the alleged victim. Also, a final condition is that he must surrender his U.S. and Israeli passports. We asked Fisherman yesterday in court if he has any response to the allegation.
Is it true that you participated in a gang rape? Was she lying?
He's not going to make any statements at this time.
And the Alexander twins also have a hearing scheduled this morning. They were supposed to finalize their own bond agreement. That was supposed to be done on Monday, but a clerical error got in the way, and so it was moved to this morning. And the third Alexander brother, Tall Alexander, is facing federal charges and has attempted to bond out. But for the time being, a judge has denied that request. But Tall Alexander's attorney tells me he plans on revisiting that in an attempt to get his client out of federal custody. Live at TGK, Steve Majiri, CBS.
Imagine you get married, go on your honeymoon, you come back, and your husband gets arrested for a gang rape. I feel really bad for that bride. I have to use the bathroom, so I will be right back. I am going to put some vintage commercials on for y'all. Here you go. In the heat of battle, only one remains. In the final hour, when you hear the call, the courage to give your all. Stand or fall.
More than 200 animators and programmers. A multi-million-dollar production. Over 2 years in the making. And a cast of thousands. They said it couldn't be done in a major motion picture. They were right. Final Fantasy VII.
PlayStation.
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better, Mentos fresh. Fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
I hate machines. Sorry, Rosie.
Why don't we go to the new Sprint store at Radio Shack, George? They have Sprint's easy-to-use products.
And the know-how of Radio Shack.
They even showed Astro how to use his mobile phone.
They could even help you, Mr. J. Astro has a mobile phone? Well, Rhonda. The new Sprint store at Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Mysterious milk bandit struck again last night. Several more local area Big Fizz vending machines are missing. Once again, the machines were replaced with coolers of ice-cold milk. As in earlier incidents, the coolers bear the now infamous slogan, "Milk, it does a body good." No witnesses were reported.
With Tiger's new TalkBoy tape recorder, now you can be as clever as Kevin.
Stop drooling on me. Stop drooling on me.
Tiger's new TalkBoy tape recorder comes with audio cassette. Batteries not included.
You're an American. You've got the right to play bingo, the right to monster truck rallies, and the right to big, juicy burgers. So what happened? Someone slaps a low price on a fried little burger and calls it a deal? That's un-American. You have the right to go to Burger King. The right to get a Whopper, plain broiled, not fried. And the right to get that Whopper any size you want, with fries and a drink. Starting at just $1.99. It's all there in the Constitution. Look it up.
Burger King. Get your burger's worth. Halloween Monday, NBC takes you into the scariest home in the country.
We're America's worst nightmare! White trash with money!
Roseanne and Tom, the movie.
You should all be kissing my butt!
For the first time ever, a motion picture based on their true story.
Nothing is gonna shut me up.
Roseanne and Tom, the movie. The greatest Halloween ever is on NBC. In a distant corner of our galaxy, an invincible alliance has been formed.
Engage! Let's go!
Jack in the Box and the new Paramount motion picture Star Trek Generations team up to give you a free Star Trek Generations movie collector's cup when you galaxy-size any Supreme Value combo. For just 39 cents more, beam up to bigger fries, a larger drink. Collect all 4 limited edition cups. It's a stellar deal for just 39 cents more, only at Jack in the Box.
Which
this guy never.
They don't do that anymore. I don't think any fast food you can get the extra large fries and whatever. I have Jack in the Box here, but I don't go to Jack in the Box often. So sorry, y'all. Nature called and I had to answer it. Yeah, I don't know what the gas prices are around here. I don't get gas that often. Let me see how much gas prices are. It looks like it's 266 maybe. That says 236. No, that can't be right. I don't know. Like, I don't go that far, nor do I really use gas. Like, I don't go that far. My car has good gas mileage, yada, yada, yada. I'm very glad to see you, Disney nerd, and thank you, Pokemon, for tweeting it out. I saw that Steve, Publicly Buzz, also tweeted it out. Appreciate it. Yeah, sorry, Charmaine. I had to go potty. I try to put the vintage commercials in at least, so that's somewhat entertaining. So, yeah, the Alexander twins being charged and the other person being charged for participating. His poor wife. I don't know if she's going to stand. Was that his wife walking out with him? Is she standing by him? Because I'm not going to do a perp walk if you're accused of if I'm married to somebody and then I come back and something like that happens, I'm not walking with you in court. Nope. 169 a liter. How many liters are in a gallon? I don't know. How many liters in a gallon? So 3.7 liters are in a gallon. So let me see. 169 times. That's 625 a gallon. Jesus. That's pretty expensive. Why is it so expensive in Canada? Is it because we don't want to share gas with Canada, apparently? I don't know. Because we have our own oil here. In Texas, I know it's normally cheaper because we have our own oil. All right. So this next story, I know nothing about it that I'm going to share. I just saw the title and it says breakfast bitch owner released from prison. So I'm curious what that's about.
Tonight, a Phoenix restaurant owner is on a path to redemption after landing in hot water. We first brought you the story more than 2 years ago when the restaurant owner was arrested for stealing money from an NBA player's ex-wife.
The I-Team's Erica Stapleton has been following this case all the way through the criminal justice system and now has another new twist. We do want to warn you that there is profanity in this report due to the restaurant's name.
The last time I talked to Tracy Hutzona, the owner of Breakfast Bitch Restaurant, was in March 2023, the day before she surrendered to federal prison. At the time, she vowed she'd be back, and now she is. 'Tis the season.
Thank you. I hope you have a bitchin' day.
For second chances.
I'm just grateful for life lessons. I'm grateful to be back.
Tracy Hutzona back at the helm of her restaurant, Breakfast Bitch.
Hi, how's everything going?
Serving up brunch.
How's everything tasting?
After serving time in federal prison, Hutzona was arrested in 2021 and eventually took a plea deal for wire fraud, admitting she stole more than $1 million from actress Jumana Kidd, NBA star Jason Kidd's ex-wife. Records show Hutzona used to be Kidd's assistant, despite her history, having been convicted of a federal fraud scheme once before. Prosecutors called her a serial con artist, and Hutzona was originally sentenced to more than 4 years in prison. But while incarcerated, a judge reduced her sentence, and now she's out in a residential reentry program.
Thank you.
After only about 1.5 years behind bars.
I am remorseful for the mistakes that I've made in my life. However, they're not exactly what they were made out to be.
The restaurant surviving her incarceration too, but not without struggle. They shut down their San Diego location. And earlier this year, the Phoenix restaurant got some violations from Maricopa County Public Health, which records show have all been corrected.
Nobody wants to see the correction. They only want to focus on the negative, right? That's what's juicy. Not that I don't take them seriously. I absolutely do. But we live in a society that loves drama.
Do you have any regrets?
Of course I have some regrets. You know, if I could go back in time and change my decisions.
Girl,
that I've
you
made,
stole shit.
I would. I'd like to have no regrets moving forward.
And she doesn't have to start from scratch.
I think now with her presence back, I feel a huge difference.
Her staff standing by her.
When she left, she took the energy with her in a way. So when she came back, it was like a breath of fresh air. And sure, I'm serving breakfast and calling people bitches, but it's more than that.
The restaurant also giving back, collecting angel tree donations for kids with incarcerated parents.
Children have nothing to do with the mistakes that their parents make.
After all,
Any big plans today, y'all?
'tis the season
All right.
for second chances. In Phoenix,
You know, we're not going to give up.
Erica Stapleton, 12 News.
She made a mistake. Do you guys want to know how much money she stole? I looked up the story. This isn't a mistake. So, let's see. Back in 2008, she was sentenced to 6 years in prison for a different case around a bunch of missing money. And then she got arrested again a couple years ago for stealing more money. So clearly she didn't learn her lessons. She stole $1 million, y'all. Like, I made mistakes, ma'am. Stealing $1 million is not a mistake. Being a con artist, not once but twice, and going to prison multiple times is not a mistake. Let me see. Does this have a video? Yes. All right. Let me play this news story for y'all explaining. Hold up. Wait a minute. Sorry. I'm just going to sing. Hold up. There we go. Share. I clicked. There we go. Okay. So here's the other video.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
I don't want no commercial.
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Siri doesn't do that.
That sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do.
You got
now,
this.
where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Put your money in high interest savings account.
Owner of a popular local restaurant is accused of stealing more than $1 million from a celebrity's family. And as News 8's Steve Price reports, this isn't the first time she's been in trouble with the law over missing money.
It's
US
so
Attorney's
low.
Office calls the owner
I
of
have
this
it maxed.
Hillcrest restaurant a serial con artist. And according to documents obtained by News 8, they allege she stole more than $1 million. And it's believed that some of that money went to open Breakfast Bitch.
All bitches are welcome.
We first met Tracy Hutsana in the summer of 2019.
Looking good, bitch.
Her quirky restaurant had only been open a few weeks, but business was already booming.
Unbelievable. Like, just so welcoming. We had no idea it was going to be this crazy.
And Hutsana knows crazy. Back in 2008, she was sentenced to more than 6 years in prison for her involvement in a different case that centered around a lot of missing money. She said she changed in prison, but 2 months ago, she was arrested again, charged with wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. Authorities allege she stole money from Jumana Kidd, the ex-wife of a former NBA star. Hutsana worked for Kidd as a personal assistant and is accused of assisting herself to more than $1 million of Kidd's money. According to the complaint, it appears that Hutsana stole money set aside for the education of victim one's children to fund her own luxury lifestyle.
San Diego are definitely brunchers.
Hutsana was out of town when I reached her Monday, and she completely denies the allegations that she started the restaurant with other people's money. She followed up our chat with a statement that says, in part, We work extremely hard and have built what we have legitimately. People love fake news more than the truth because it's juicy and fun to talk about. Sadly, there are people who would rather celebrate failure than success in others. It's not clear when Hatsana will be back in court, but she faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted on all charges. In Hillcrest, Steve.
Yeah, she got like 1.5 years, but yeah, she stole over $1 million. Got greedy. May not have noticed a little bit, but $1 million, Jesus. That's not a mistake. I made a mistake. Of course, you regret it because you got caught. Come on now. The restaurant. So she stole money, put up or made a restaurant, and making money off of the money she stole. I just got a new tree from Lowe's because they had all the Christmas stuff 75% off. So I got like 100 and something tree for $20. So, and it's way better than the tree that I had. So now I have one tree upstairs and one tree downstairs. The cat is having a grand old time with these trees. So now we're going to move on to Texas. In Texas, there was a suspected kidnapping, and the connection is the victim's ex. So the ex, yeah, anyway, so you guys got to see this because I'm not even going to do any good explaining this.
Details tonight at 5. A third suspect has been arrested in connection with a kidnapping for ransom. Police say it happened last Thursday night when the man was kidnapped at gunpoint off the 700 block of John Page Drive. The kidnappers threatened to kill the victim if his family didn't hand over money. Well, tonight, according to a newly released arrest warrant, the victim was not a random target. KENS 5's Vanessa Croy explains.
According to that arrest affidavit, it was the victim's girlfriend who was the mastermind behind this plot to kidnap the 22-year-old man for ransom. And police tell us that she later admitted to luring the victim straight into a trap.
17-year-old Oscar Peralta Garcia is the latest suspect charged in this web of betrayal that police say left a man in fear for his life. According to an arrest warrant, Eris Manresa called the victim last Thursday night and asked him to come over to her apartment. The victim had no idea the terror that was waiting for him. Police say 4 men jumped the victim in the apartment and attacked, violently pistol whipping him and then taking his clothes, wallet, and cell phone. The 4 attackers then forced the victim into his own car and demanded he call his father to pay a $3,000 ransom, according to police documents. If the victim's family didn't pay up, the suspects threatened to kill him. Well, that's when the man's family called police. And while one of the suspects had a gun pointed at the victim's head, they pulled up to his house at the same time as police. Detectives say the suspect saw officers and took off, but crashed out off Old Historic Highway 90. And that's when the suspects tried to run, but police were hot on their trail. Eris Manresa and Anthony Brown were arrested on the scene. Peralta Garcia was arrested a week later. And according to that warrant, Manresa later admitted to detectives she lured her ex-boyfriend to her apartment so the suspects could beat him up and take his money. Police say one of the suspects was her current boyfriend.
All 3 of those suspects, once again, have been arrested and charged with aggravated kidnapping and engaging in organized criminal activity. Police tell us they are still trying to hunt down that other suspect who may be involved. Reporting near the medical center, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
That's
Male agent
messed
in his
up.
60s.
That is messed up, y'all. Like, 3,000. Okay, first of all, if you kidnap me and you're only asking for $3,000, I'm going to be a little upset. I feel like I'm worth more than $3,000, first of all. Second, like, do I have exes I don't like? Sure. But even when I was in my 20s and I was running the streets, I never thought, let me have some of these goons attack my ex and kidnap and ransom for money. Because I'm smart. Because that shit doesn't work. Like, yeah, at least ask for $10,000. Like, enough money to buy a car. I think I am worth a car. like a Kia Soul or something without all the trimmings. Like, that's I'm glad that everyone's okay and that they caught everybody, but geez. So in Oakland, there was somebody killed at a restaurant. The restaurant owner was killed over there. One dead, one hospitalized. One of the other employees was hurt. And so I just wanted to share this story so people could learn about the victims. And I feel for the families so close to Christmas.
Male Asian in his 60s, not breathing, not conscious, not bleeding. And then we're going to have another male Asian in his 60s, conscious, breathing, bleeding from the head.
Police dispatch audio describing the aftermath of a violent incident that happened in Oakland's Little Saigon neighborhood Sunday. The Oakland Police Department says they were called out around 4:30 in the afternoon for reports of an assault. It all began near the Best Dim Sum and Pastry restaurant, where OPD says a man was vandalizing cars. We spoke with the restaurant's owner, who told ABC 7 News she didn't want to go on camera. The woman says one of her employees ran out to confront the man who was unhoused. The employee was accompanied by the woman's husband. The pair chased the man down the road. At some point during the chase, the woman's husband had a heart attack and ultimately died. Around the same time, the employee was hit by what OPD described as a blunt object. In surveillance video from a nearby gas station, you can see the suspect drop an object before entering the store. Moments later, the victim approached the store, touching his head as if checking for blood. The unhoused man eventually walking away. Jennifer Tran, who is the president of the Oakland Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce, says the unhoused man was known among many business owners in the community.
Based on my understanding of the individual, experienced an episode, one of several that he's had increasingly over the last few years.
Tran says Sunday's incident is an example of the anxiety felt by the community when it comes to crime. A few doors down from the restaurant, we met Lisa Trin from Lucky 7 Cigarettes. Trin tells us she's terrified every time she comes to work.
When I close, open, very scared. Not say anything.
Trin says she feels crime in the area is out of control. She tells us the shop's windows have been broken 13 times over the past few years. Trin also sharing photos and videos of a time when a car drove through the front of their store. The result, these cylinder blocks they've installed near the entrance to try and prevent that from happening again.
Just you come here, half hour, nobody come in house, we have business, right? Very difficult.
OPD says the unhoused man from the assault was arrested Sunday evening, but the event has only heightened the sense of abandonment felt by many of the people in this neighborhood.
Most of the business owners here and the residents here are just holding their breath, hoping that they wouldn't be the next person who is going to be experience such tragic incidents.
In Oakland, Tim Johns, ABC 7.
Yeah, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with mental health. Clearly, the homeless man has mental health issues, and he was having an episode, like she said. And that's why it's scary to even confront people when they're doing something wrong. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Confronting somebody breaking into your car could end up in you being dead. It could be someone that has has no value of human life. There was a police officer here that confronted somebody taking the catalytic converter off of his truck, and he ended up being shot and killed by the criminal. And this is an officer that does training on how to protect yourself. And so if he's killed, the average citizen doesn't really stand much of a chance. So, and then you call the police, and then it takes the police hours to come, and they're going to get away. And it's just this endless cycle. And then if this person has serious mental health issues, even if he's having an episode, where are they going to put him? Like, if he didn't commit a crime and he's just having an episode, where are they going to keep him? Where are they going to put him? They're going to take him to maybe a hospital for a day and then just release him back on the street. And a lot of the people that are on the streets do have mental health issues. So it's exhausting. Yes, that is definitely an umbrella, guys. I think that is an umbrella on the tree. Definitely. I see the little hook. So, what can we do to fix all this? What is the solution? I definitely think that we need asylums, like mental health facilities, like all the ones. There's so many abandoned mental health places. Like you see it on the paranormal investigators pages that, oh, we're going to investigate this mental health asylum that's been abandoned. Yeah, there's so many of them because we don't have them anymore. And we definitely need them, but we need to make sure that we don't do what we did back then and abuse the people there. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and people suck. So I definitely feel for them, and very unfortunate that the owner had a heart attack while trying to do that. Aluminum trees. I don't think I've seen an aluminum. The ones with pom-poms and color wheels. I need to Google that. Aluminum tree from the 70s. Oh, well, that is certainly interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not, right? So basically a big, I'm going to show you guys. I mean, you guys could Google it, but many big cities are just open air mental institutions. Absolutely. That's why I'm happy where I live. I don't really see homeless people. I used to see them all the time in downtown Houston and stuff, but I don't really see them often anymore. And the ones that I have encountered are just normal people. Okay, so here's what Brooklyn is talking about. Here's the color wheel. Oh, this color wheel was in Annabelle. Annabelle Comes Home or something. The kid had this, and you see Annabelle's shadow with it. But yeah, so these are I've never seen one in person. We had a pretty intricate Christmas tree when I was a kid. Yeah, what's one more? It's a disco tree. Of course, right out the Sears catalog. All right, so next we are going to talk about Jay-Z and Diddy. Jay-Z has a lawsuit for sexual assault, and the attorney that is representing the victim of Jay-Z, Tony Busby, just got a lawsuit too. There's a woman accusing him of giving her a venereal disease. Yeah, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, Jay-Z.
Tonight, we look at the exclusive interview with the woman who claims rappers Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs raped her. Chloe Mellis tells us why the rappers are trying to get the case thrown out.
Tonight, Jay-Z fighting back against a rape accusation. His attorney filing a letter to the judge to dismiss the rape lawsuit against his client, citing an NBC News exclusive that found inconsistencies with the accuser's story.
You should always advocate for yourself.
It comes after our interview with a 38-year-old mother from Alabama who accuses Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter of raping her when she was 13 years old. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough.
She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000. The woman says she spoke to Combs' limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party. She says at the party, she spoke to musician Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo. It's the Last Supper.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative for the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at that time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter both raped her. She says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. I feel like I would remember that, and I don't, he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said she stands by her statements. I have made some mistakes, she said, in remembering what happened 24 years ago. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me. In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, "This incident didn't happen. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory." A representative for Combs called the suit a shameless money grab.
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out.
Chloe Malas, NBC News.
A disgraced hip hop mogul, Sean.
Huh. Look, I'm all about believe victims. Maybe she got the year wrong, and that's why she's saying she talked to people that weren't there, or maybe she confused him with another artist. I don't know. And then the fact that her father says that he doesn't remember picking her up, uh, that's not going to help for sure. But, I'm not totally discounting because she could be confused with some of the stuff. So the attorney that is involved in the lawsuit with Jay-Z, he now has a lawsuit against him for possibly giving somebody an STD. Okay, well, I need the commercial. I don't a commercial about a lawyer with a lawyer commercial. Sweet James.
Getting ugly, as you said it, as this legal battle intensifies. Now both sides are accusing each other of misconduct.
When Jay-Z, one of the most influential hip-hop artists of all time, was accused of allegedly raping a 13-year-old girl back in 2000, he came out swinging against the allegations, accusing attorney Tony Busby of extortion by seeking money before going public with false and outrageous allegations. He also demanded the accuser's identity be revealed.
Can't hide skeletons in the closet forever.
Tony Busby, who also represents 120 accusers against Sean Diddy Combs, filed this letter in response, accusing Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, of, quote, intimidation and harassment. The letter further alleges, Mr. Carter's company, Rock Nation, and his counsel have bribed my clients to file lawsuits against my firm, threatened former clients, impersonated state officials, and engaged in other behavior far beyond the pale of acceptable conduct, unquote. Busby is facing 2 new lawsuits, one claiming he gave a woman a venereal disease and another claiming he took 74% of a client's overall settlement.
Seems like a mess right now. And until a federal judge actually receives testimony, meaning witnesses coming to court, evidence coming out under oath, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen.
Criminal defense attorney Dimitri Gorin says both sides can make all the allegations they want, but in the end, it will come down to evidence and credibility of the parties involved.
If I'm the federal judge in this matter, I put a stop to the fighting between the lawyers and say, let the sex crime trials move forward. Let's see what the evidence is. Let's see what the truth is.
And Dimitri says that the attorneys are using aggressive tactics to preserve the millions of dollars in legal fees. Now, Jay-Z's attorneys are obviously trying to make sure that this case is dismissed. Send it back to
And, Tony Busby isn't like some person that has not been in the media at all if somebody wanted to sue him or find him. He ran for mayor in Houston. He ran for city council. He's been in the news before, so I'm not so sure about the timing with the lawsuits. But, did he really charge a client 75% of their settlement? We'll see. We'll see what comes out with all that. I like Jay-Z's music. Not so much a fan of him. I hate his hair right now, and he should go to jail just for chewing gum with his mouth open, as he was in that video. That is, I hate chewing sounds. So the fact that he was just like chewing gum like that, no, I hate that. Please don't do that around me. I can't stand chewing noises. Yeah, his hair is awful. But some of his albums are, yeah, we have no artists left. We're going to be stuck with Coco Million and Baby Shark. Yes, because I love Mace. I love the 90s hip hop. And like, you got freaking Puff Daddy in the background of everything. He's in all the videos. I'm like, I don't want to see you. Can't listen to R. Kelly. Can't listen. Like, everybody's coming out with something, them being horrible to women. And like, I like that everybody forgot what Dr. Dre did. And, Dre's just doing his thing. No, nobody cares. Dr. Dre's done some shit too. Maybe more stuff will come out. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so now we're gonna get to Sean Combs. He has tried to get bond again for the fourth time. And like, I love hip hop. I do. I really truly do, especially 90s. And like, so many of the 90s rappers stuff's coming out. I guess we got Ice Cube. Is anything Ice Cube come out with anything like scandals? We got Ice-T, but he didn't make that much, and he's been on Law and Order for forever. So, but anyway. Hold on. I gotta change screens. Ice-T and his wife are adorable. They love each other so much.
Disgraced hip hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs back in court today. The rapper appearing in a beige smock and pants for his pretrial hearing. Federal prosecutors are saying that they were on track to disclose all of the available evidence to the defense by the end of the year. Well, Diddy has been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn following his arrest in September in a federal sex trafficking case. Last week, Combs abandoned what was his fourth attempt to get released on bail. Joining me for more on this is ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. So, Aaron, I know you just essentially left that courtroom. So what do we know about today's hearing?
Well, the prosecutors said they would disclose every piece of evidence that's in their possession by the end of the year. So by December 31st, the defense should have everything. And then the case is going to move toward trial in the spring of next year. Before that, the defense says it wants some clarity from the prosecutors about the scope of Combs's alleged criminal conduct, because right now, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said the racketeering allegations that Combs faces, the defense believes are a little vague. Beyond that, Kana, the trial set for May 5th is on. And if there are going to be any additional charges, prosecutors today did not tip their hand, only telling the judge that any additional charges that are brought would not involve a lot of discovery, meaning there wouldn't be a lot of additional evidence that the defense would have to go through. So in the prosecutor's view, there would be no delay, even if Diddy ends up facing additional charges.
Okay, and do we know anything more about the latest allegations, right, from these three male accusers?
Oh, this was in a civil case filed, a week or two ago when these three men alleged that in separate incidents between 2019 and 2022 that Combs sexually assaulted them. One took place at allegedly Diddy's home in East Hampton, New York, out on Long Island. The others occurred in different hotel rooms. But the premise was the same, according to the men's complaints. They were brought to see Combs for one reason or other, whether it was a party. One guy worked for him and apparently was owed money. They were offered drinks that the men believed were spiked with some kind of drug. They got woozy, passed out, and when they woke up, they say that Combs was sexually assaulting them. Combs denies all of those allegations. He has called the men liars, and he says he has not sexually assaulted anyone.
All right, Aaron Katursky, thank you for taking the time to be on with us today.
Yeah, so we will see what happens in that trial. Okay, so Snoop Dogg, I don't think there's anything that's come out about him, and he's basically an American icon at this point. So let's hope nothing comes out with Snoop. Paul Wall, I think, is underrated. I love Paul Wall. If you listen to his lyrics, Paul Wall is actually very smart, and he rhymes like pretty large words. And let's see, who else? Eminem. We already know everything about Eminem. So, I mean, we got some songs. We got some stuff. Public Enemy and Run DMC. Well, yeah, Paul Wall. I love Paul Wall. Let me see. Let me see what some of his newer songs are. I have one on my playlist that I really like that he did that I'm trying to find. It's him and another artist, and it's so smart. But Paul Wall's also done some music with a newer rapper in Texas, that Mexican OT. That Mexican OT is blowing up. I'm trying to, what the hell is that? Yeah, but Paul Wall, definitely check out. I think it's Maximo Cream, maybe. No, that's not who it is. Toby Keith is a country artist, so that's not it. I'll look through that. I'll see if I remember. Anyway, next. So a man in Seminole, Florida. I don't think that there's another Seminole. So a man was arrested in Seminole, Florida, to try to bring a child to the United States for sexual, exploitation. I do like Jelly Roll, too. Oh, good luck, Candace. I have to do that too. I have to go get. I have some stuff, but I don't have everything. I need to get a turkey. I have a ham. I need to get some other stuff. T-Pain. There's nothing wrong with T-Pain, but T-Pain's a singer, so T-Pain doesn't count as a rapper. I've met T-Pain. He's really nice. Let's see. You have any friends in Miami that like music? Yeah. I know a bunch of DJs and stuff in Miami too. Yes, Paul Wall is very good looking, but he's been with his wife for forever and never heard a bad thing about Paul Wall. And he's done a lot for Houston. A lot of Houston rappers have done well. Like, they've done a lot of good stuff for Houston. You don't really hear a lot of bad stuff about them. So anyway, now to this man from Seminole. Oh, maybe he wasn't in Florida where he got arrested, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was actually OSBI that received that tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In these new documents, the suspect, Olaf Green, fully admitted to offering to fly an 8- and 6-year-old child out to the United States to sexually exploit them. And some of these details are too disturbing to share.
He did offer to provide transportation for them to come here for the purpose of sex.
Olaf Green is sitting in the Seminole County Jail tonight after authorities say he offered to fly an 8- and 6-year-old child from the Philippines for child sex trafficking. The investigation started back in November after OSBI alerted the local sheriff's office of a tip given to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That tip originated from a social networking site, meetme.com, where authorities say Green was conspiring with mothers to sexually exploit their children for money.
He would meet women overseas, whether it be the Philippines, Central Asia, and throughout the course of their conversations, which spanned as far as a month, he would attempt to solicit and purchase what initially started out as nude photographs, which ended with attempting to purchase the children to come to the United States.
In the text conversations, Green asked a mother from the Philippines to send naked pictures of her 8-year-old daughter and offered to buy plane tickets to fly them to the U.S.
He had offered to the mother, and she looked like quite possibly was going to take him up. That part of the investigation has been sent to the federal police of the Philippines.
Deputies arrested Green Thursday at his home in Seminole. Seminole County Sheriff's Office says they're focused on keeping children in their community safe from predators.
He was very clear to me that we were to hunt these predators down.
Now, authorities also seized Green's storage devices along with his phone and computer. OSBI right now is combing through those devices for child sexual material. Green has not yet been formally charged, but his bond has been set at $500,000. Reporting live, Kylie Thomas.
$500,000 sounds like a good bond. So this is Oklahoma. It's Seminole County in Oklahoma. Because normally Seminole, I think Seminole, Florida, but yeah, this is Oklahoma. So thankfully, he was caught before any of that stuff. And there's chat logs I was a juror on a internet sex crimes against children case, and it is those details are things that I will never forget. It sucks, but we were able to get a conviction. So I hope that they get a conviction with this because, ew, gross. And the women overseas selling, I mean, I know you're desperate, but you're selling your children's photos and offering to bring them to the United States. No. All right, so let's see. I still have, let's see, how many videos do I have left? Really? I have that many left. We'll see. We'll see how much further I go because I do need to go into the office. So while we're talking about artists, I've seen a lot of artists live, but I've seen Wu-Tang, I've seen Bone Thugs and Harmony, 50 Cent, Little Uzi, Denzel Curry, Childish Gambino. I've seen a lot. I'm not going to be able to remember. And I've met a lot of celebrities when I lived in Miami, like T-Pain, Amber Rose and Wiz Khalifa, Mobb Deep, Ludacris. My brain is blanking, but T-Pain was very, very nice. He's a very nice gentleman. And he asked if I wanted to take a picture with him. I didn't ask. I never ask celebrities. I treat celebrities just like everybody else. Oh, I got to meet Stevie Wonder, John Legend. Who else have I seen live? I've seen a lot of people, and I've gone to festivals. Rock the Bells Festival, like in early 2000s. I've been to like 50 Cent and them I saw when I was in my early 20s. And he was hours late. People almost rioted. I went to ACL Fest in 2019, so whoever was playing then, Lizzo, I saw Lizzo. But anyway, I will continue to think and try to remember. So I've said this before and I'll say it again. People are tired of being victimized. People know that law enforcement may not come in time to help you. You may have to defend yourself. And especially in Texas, a lot of people do have means to protect themselves. It boggles my mind that there's so many criminals that break into people's houses and stuff like that. But more and more and more, you are seeing people defend themselves, killing somebody that's breaking into their car, somebody robbing a restaurant, breaking into their home. So if you choose to commit crime, the chances of you dying are much higher than they used to be. People are sick and tired of it. So in Houston, a woman recently had to take someone's life to defend a home.
Thank you for joining us for KPRC 2 News at 6. I'm Keith Garvin. Daniela is on assignment. We will get to that plane crash in Victoria in just a moment. But first, we want to focus on a breaking scene out of Southwest Houston where police say a woman shot and killed a man whom she believes was breaking into her home. This happened on Heather Bloom Drive and Altair Way at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Our Joy Addison is live in the area with the very latest. Joy, the details starting to come in. Tell us what you know so far.
Well, Keith, we don't know much. This just happened, like you said, at 3 p.m. So just about 3 hours ago, I'm here at the corner of Heather Bloom and Altair. It's this yellow home just behind me is where everything took place. Here's what we do know. There was a woman inside with her father. She told police that she was asleep and she heard someone trying to get in. By the time she woke up, she says that a man was standing inside of her home. She then grabbed her firearm and she shot at this man. And one of those shots did hit and kill him. Since this is still under investigation, there are a couple of things that we haven't been able to confirm with police, whether that woman or her father knew the man who entered into their home. But we do know that he was shot by the door. As this investigation unfolds and we get more information, we'll bring it to you guys right here on KPRC 2 News. In Southwest Houston, Joy Addison, Channel 2.
It started with a Tinder date and
hold
ended
on,
with a
hold on, hold on,
29-year-old.
hold on. So yeah, I met Fabulous. Fabulous is not on the good list, at least in my eyes. Fabulous is very allegedly, allegedly very abusive. He has been with the same woman for forever. She was on the original Love and Hip Hop, um, and he's cheated on her so many times. He knocked out her teeth. There's videos of him putting his hands on her. So definitely not okay with men that put their hands on women. I think they're still together. I'm not sure. They've been together a long time. They got multiple kids. Let me see. Abuse, Fabulous. So he was indicted in 2018 for domestic abuse. Fabulous. So I'm not really sure if is he still with her. Emily B. Emily B is who he was with. It's tough, man, to like go through music and you're just like, well, this person did this and this person did that. Let's see. They are still together. Yeah. So they have been on and off for 20 years. They have a 15-year-old son, an 8-year-old son, and a 3-year-old daughter. But yes, Boys to Men. Oh, Boys to Men are cool. Yeah, I haven't seen them. But yeah, so that's what Fabulous has done. And there's a lot of rappers that have abused women, sadly. He's on your Clean My House playlist. Well, I got to try to come up with a safe playlist because so many of my rappers. I like Sublime. How can you not love Sublime? Wait, it was the young mother of the babies that's doing the abuse. Oh, Christ. I mean, women can be abusers too. Oh, you worked with the husband. Got it. I was confused when I read that. So the woman was abusing the children. Yeah, I mean, when we think of sexual predators, we generally think of men, but women are also sexual predators. Going back to Love and Hip Hop, there was a young woman on there that discussed her sexual abuse publicly. Cynthia, I think her name was. But anyway, she's got a kid with God, I'm blanking too. I can picture his stupid face. He did that song Pump It Up. Pump, pump, pump it up. Yeah, so he has got a kid with this woman, and she publicly told everybody that she was abused when she was a kid by a woman who was the babysitter. So you can't discount women being abusers either, unfortunately. So a Tinder date, so this is in Australia, going international, a Tinder date ended in a stabbing. I don't know that I will ever, I mean, maybe I'll date eventually, but I don't know that I would do online dating. I am so scared to date again, especially in this world and all the stuff that I know and the amount of baggage I have. I feel like I'm just going to have to meet some cop or lawyer or advocate or something somewhere, and then maybe I'll date. But my plan now is to just keep collecting cats. I have one. So just going to keep collecting cats. That's my plan. That's my retirement plan.
It started with a Tinder date and ended with a 29-year-old stabbed in the heart at Condell Park in 2019. Today, one of the killers was sentenced to decades behind bars. The court hearing, it was all motivated by money.
A deep breath outside court.
It's a big outcome for the family. It's been a long time coming.
5 years after his brother Luke Lembrick was murdered at Condell Park.
I know it's not going to bring him back, but it's a step to healing.
Today, Joseph Nemi, the last of 4 people to be sentenced over the killing. He hatched a plan for a home invasion when Lisa Price mentioned seeing bundles of cash on a Tinder date with Luke in December 2019. She was later found guilty of manslaughter.
People told me to reach her. She was at his house, yeah?
Yeah, I'll talk to you when I get there.
50 grand bundles.
Nimi caught on phone taps asking Viliami Taufahima for backup.
Listen, you want to make money? I got a job. Let's go. Quick. Where is it? Condo Park.
The two men were in the house for less than 2 minutes, stabbing Luke 5 times, including in the heart. His mother also assaulted, watching her 29-year-old son die from his injuries. She passed away from cancer a few months later.
Thinking about her last months being in such distress is a hard thing to think about.
Luke Lambrick's final words were, "I'm dying. They've stabbed me," which the judge said indicated there were 2 people there when he was attacked, even though Nimi claimed he only entered the house after the murder. The judge ruled on the balance of probabilities it was his accomplice who wielded the knife, but said Nimi was the leader, sentencing him to 21 years prison, while the Lemrick family faces life without Luke. At the Supreme Court, Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
The victim was very handsome, and that is, I don't know how many dates they went on. Maybe he brought her back to hook up and had the money out. Yeah, I'm very paranoid. I have had somebody steal money that I had in my house before, when I was in my early 20s. Yeah. And I thought I had it away, but not away enough. So I hide money if I have money or jewelry and stuff like that. And I have a safe too that's hidden. Not that I have a lot of stuff, so please don't rob me. You'll be sorely disappointed. Just because I have a safe does not mean I have a lot of stuff. I bought a safe originally when I moved in with somebody that had a child, and I own a gun. So, yeah, don't rob me. There's nothing. But I am glad to see justice in this case. Very handsome victim. I definitely would have swiped right on him. And like these people, and like people get set up to be robbed on Tinder dates. It's happened to women too, but generally that happens to men. And I have seen this go south multiple times. If you Google it, there are young women and men in the United States that have gone to prison because they set someone up to be robbed on Tinder or on whatever. And the man shows up and it's like 4 guys that come out and rob them. It's just not worth the potential outcome to me, but they're just thinking the money, seeing the money. And so we're going to get a quick come up. All right. So let's see. All right. So we're going to get less serious soon. But first, we're going to talk about, let me move this. So we're going to stay international for a minute. Germany. There was a car that drove through the Christmas market. And I don't know if this is true, but I did see on social media that a young woman had tried to warn police ahead of time, but she didn't speak German and they were ignoring her. And she contacted some social media to try to help her contact the police, gave a full name, everything. And they didn't stop him. Oh, whoops.
Now, we are also following a deadly crash in Germany. More than 60 people were injured and 2 killed, including a toddler, after a driver rammed their car into a crowded Christmas market in eastern Germany. Authorities have arrested the driver of the car. Local government officials say they suspect that this was, in fact, a deliberate action. CBS News reporter Haley Ott is following this story for us from London. Haley, what are we learning about the driver? I have to say, it is shocking to me that he's actually a doctor there in Germany.
Hello, Lana. Yes. The driver was a doctor. He had been living in Germany since 2006. He had indefinite leave to remain there. He was 50 years old, originally from Saudi Arabia, and the motivation for the attack is unknown. So authorities are saying that he had no criminal record, so the investigation into why he might have carried out an attack like this is still ongoing.
So, given all of that, what makes the authorities suspect, Haley, that this was a deliberate attack?
Germany has a history of these sorts of attacks on Christmas markets, unfortunately. So as soon as something like this took place, many people in Germany would have thought immediately to an attack that happened in 2016 in Berlin, where a truck drove into another Christmas market there. This car drove into the market. Dozens of people have been injured. The motive is still being investigated, so it isn't certain how or why this took place. But local media is reporting that the area around the car that was driven into the market was sealed off because of suspicions that potentially there were some explosives on the passenger seat side of the car. So it isn't known why this attack was carried out, but there are concerns that potentially it could have been much more grave if there had been an explosive device that had been detonated.
Yeah, and explosives are obviously not part of a traffic accident. And as you mentioned, Haley, this immediately felt to me, and I'm sure to other viewers, eerily similar to previous attacks, including that one in Berlin. What have authorities done, or in this case, failed to do, to try and keep these big holiday gatherings, and particularly in this case at a Christmas market, safe?
Well, when you think of this sort of event, it's really a gathering of a lot of people in the community. Many people don't know one another.
Yeah,
It's a matter
that you're not hopeful. All right. So the death toll has risen to 5, 200 hurt, actually, at this point from what I'm seeing on NPR. So 2 hours ago, there was an update released, what we know about the suspect. Came to Germany in 2006. They already said that, yada, yada, yada. So he has been charged with, could face 5 counts of murder and 205 counts of attempted murder. So he, on his Twitter, which has now been deleted, he said, "Oh, go away, pop-ups, I'm doing stuff." Hold on. Okay, so he made anti-Islam statements, self-identified as a Saudi dissident, spoke openly about renouncing his Islamic faith, expressed sympathy for the far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD party, accused Germany of promoting the Islamization of the country. Germany has welcomed more than 1 million refugees in 2015 and 2016. That's interesting. Okay. So Saudi Arabia considers the suspect a fugitive and has requested his extradition from Germany between 2007 and 2008. Interesting. The Germany refused. The Saudi Arabia authorities alleged that he had harassed Saudis abroad. Interesting. Yeah, that's, someone said that he's an unusual suspect in this. Law enforcement said after 25 years, you would think nothing could surprise me more, but a 50-year-old Saudi ex-Muslim who lives in East Germany who loves the AfD and wants to punish Germany for its tolerance towards Islamists really wasn't on my radar. Oh, this is from a professor of security studies at King's College of London. So, yeah. I would think that he would be executed very quickly if he was extradited to Saudi Arabia. I don't think that they really have, due process and all that stuff there. I don't think that he would go to prison. But I don't know much about Saudi Arabia, so let me not talk out my ass. But I think because that's why a lot of people are leaving, they don't exactly, do stuff very nicely. So going back to Houston, I really hate that this is not the first time that I have shared a story or reported on somebody being robbed at a cemetery in Houston.
New tonight, grieving families members preyed on by criminals at a Southeast Houston cemetery.
ABC 13 has reported on several thefts and reports of vandalism at Forest Park, Lawndale, spanning more than a decade. Our Alex Bozargian spoke to a recent victim and has a closer look at how often this is happening. Alex.
Well, I asked HPD to pull calls of service to this cemetery, and they tell me within the last 6 months, they responded to 6 car burglaries and 1 theft. This is really the definition of kicking someone while they're down here grieving a family member. Tonight, one of the victims is warning other people who might have loved ones buried here to stay hyper vigilant and calling on the cemetery to up security.
I feel like they were watching us.
Who and from where, Stephanie Gutierrez does not know. Her focus when at Forest Park Lawndale Cemetery is on these two, Robert and Lucinda Hernandez, her late grandparents.
I feel like you're vulnerable there, and maybe that's what they know, is that you're vulnerable because your guard is down.
Not more than 15 minutes into her visit, which was the day before Thanksgiving, this happened. Her uncle's car window smashed and Gutierrez's purse, keys, credit cards, all gone.
You're talking about a couple of sleepless nights of, are they going to come to my home? They know where I live. All my credit cards, having to worry about that.
Gutierrez is joining a growing list of victims who came to ABC 13 to share their story. Back in April, Gabriella Mackin had her purse stolen while visiting her daughter's grave.
I always thought a cemetery would be the absolute safest place.
And way back in 2012, another grieving mother targeted. This time, the thief stole mementos off her daughter's grave.
This is my baby.
In a statement to ABC 13, a spokesperson for the cemetery said in part, "It saddens us that thieves are preying on cemeteries to commit these crimes." He also added that the cemetery has regular security patrols, signs reminding families to secure their valuables, and several surveillance cameras. But when Gutierrez inquired about footage,
the cameras that they do have were blocked by trees, and so there was really nothing they could do.
A resting place for her grandparents turned hunting ground for thieves.
It's going to be different now going back.
Like looking over your shoulder?
Absolutely. I still look over my shoulder today because they have my license.
In Southeast Houston, I'm Alex Bozargian, ABC 13 Eyewitness News. Never leave your purse, phone, wallet in the vehicle, no matter where you're going. Honestly, we're not safe anywhere, not cemeteries. I'm thankful that Austin is not buried at one of these huge, massive cemeteries, because some of these cemeteries are so big and confusing that one time I was trying to find somebody's grave and I literally couldn't because it was so big and I was so confused on where it was. So Austin, where he's buried, it's not that big, and where I park my car, I can see my vehicle from where I am, and I can see if somebody else comes into the cemetery. So I definitely am very thankful for that, because you are vulnerable and you don't want to think about that stuff when you're grieving. Let's see. Brooklyn is telling us about a time that testified in front of the grand jury. A lady was coming to random wakes and stealing the family's pocketbooks. I haven't heard pocketbook in forever. My mom used to call her purse a pocketbook too. Had to be 2004. It was all over the course of a few months. Finally caught her on security cameras. Had to testify in front of a grand jury. That's terrible. And they have security cameras, but the trees are blocking it. Trim the damn trees. What's the point of having the cameras? Those poor families. And I hope that if you steal something from a cemetery, that it brings home something from the cemetery and it haunts you. Just saying. All right. So we're going to talk about some scams real quick. So we're going to talk about brushing scam. And then we're going to talk about two-step authentication. And if you guys aren't familiar with two-step authentication, it has to do with your phone being text to code, trying to access like your Gmail or whatever. So we're going to talk about these things so y'all can protect yourselves. I try to, inform you guys, give you guys some safety tips. And oh yeah, I forget that I have these things. Here are safety tips. That's the music for this one. Okay, anyway. All right. First, the brushing scam.
There is a new, unique scam involving a mysterious package showing up on your doorstep and an even more mysterious QR code. It's being called a brushing scam, and police are sending an urgent warning about it today. New Jersey correspondent Trish Hartman spoke to one woman who almost fell victim to that scam and has some useful advice.
As holiday cheer is arriving in the form of boxes in the delivery truck, authorities are putting out warnings about unsolicited packages in the form of a brushing scam.
It was a really nice gift set for skincare.
Nancy Kowalik of Mullica Hill received a package out of the blue and couldn't figure out who it was from. Now, after seeing warning posts from local police departments, she believes it was likely part of a scam.
There was a QR code, and I'm paranoid, so I don't scan anything, but I kept asking friends, and no one ever claimed sending that gift to me.
Experts like Venkat Nagapuri from Villanova University say once a fraudulent seller sends a package, even though you didn't order it, they can write a verified review for their product online.
Now, once these packages have been delivered, these fraudulent sellers, they go online and write a glowing review for their product in an attempt to boost sales.
And like Nancy mentioned, the package could also contain a QR code, which could lead you to a malicious website. They might say something like,
scan this QR code to leave a review on a product that you recently purchased to perhaps be eligible for like a $500 gift card or something like that.
Technology expert Tony Sabai says while scanning the QR code won't necessarily cause any harm, the website you visit may ask you for sensitive information. And if you've gotten one of those packages,
change your login on Amazon if that's the site that's the vehicle for the brushing scam. Change your password. It's always good to have the two-factor authentication set up on your online shopping accounts and your banking accounts.
And that was Trish Hartman reporting. Another precaution to protect yourself is to enroll in some kind of credit monitoring. We've got tips on how you can do that on 6abc.com.
Funny, he mentioned the two-step authentication because the next story is about two-step authentication and the FBI warning using it. So this guy said use it, and then the next story says not to use it. So don't scan QR codes. Don't do it. Even in parking lots where they have the QR codes, get your fingernail and touch around where the QR code is. Make sure it's not a sticker. That actually happened to my roommate in a parking lot, and his card was compromised. So let's see what the FBI says.
Most of us do it. We get that two-factor authentication code texted to us by our banks or your social media accounts. Well, now the FBI is urging Apple and Android users to stop after revealing a telecom breach may expose these messages to hackers. News Nation's Ryan Bass joining us live to explain further on this. So, Ryan, what are officials recommending we do instead to protect our online accounts? Because surely it can't be we got to just stop texting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's using more secure ways like
passbooks, basically, or password protected management software to access this. They say those text codes that you're getting are not safe. They said this cybersecurity breach could lead to folks spying on your messages and then utilizing those codes to get into things like your banking software or your social media accounts. That is the concern that the feds have here. And this was called one of the biggest cybersecurity breaches in our nation's history, and it has a lot of folks concerned. And so earlier this month, government officials said that people should start using these encrypted apps like WhatsApp in order to keep your messages safe and make sure that people aren't spying on them. The U.S. government said China hacked AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen Technologies to spy on customers. Now, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency sent out an updated memo 2 days ago, warning people that texts aren't encrypted, basically saying that these passcodes that you're getting sent to your phone are old school and not very secure. They say that you should use authenticator apps for logging on. So how do we protect ourselves? Like, what are hackers doing to get a hold of your info? Well, I actually had a chance to speak with coding and securities expert Yashin Menraj, who said we need to be extra cautious ourselves with what's being texted to our phone to make sure we aren't voluntarily giving up our sensitive information.
And I would say in terms of texting, the biggest worry is not really the two-factor, but the fact that people like you who are, adapt to texting, uses it a lot, is that they are clicking a lot of links. I think that's where 60 to 70% of the active successful hacks has been, is that people have been able to send phishing links that basically are able to, divert your information, your bank information, or access to more critical infrastructures.
Yashin told me that we're all getting those USPS text messages saying that our package is late or we got to confirm our address. He said, do not click on those links. Marky, he said those are spam and it's phishing attempts, and it's getting a lot of people around the holidays that are concerned that their packages aren't going to arrive in time for Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. So, Ryan, you've piqued our interest. What moves should we make? What's the best way to make sure that we better protect ourselves? Anything specific we should download?
Yeah, so obviously WhatsApp is going to be the encrypted way of being able to make sure your text messages aren't being spied on, but who's going to switch to WhatsApp permanently? That's not feasible, right? So the key things here that I think we're going to be doing is a password manager app. That's certainly one way to go. There's things like Passwords app in Apple, then there's Dashlane or Google Passwords Manager. That could be tools that we could use to make sure we're more secure. There's also the advice from Yashin, which was switch up your passwords. He said for every single site or login you use something different. He said it's going to decrease the opportunity for hackers to be able to get to multiple accounts across the board. You can also use an email or a PIN as that two-factor or multi-factor authenticator instead of text messaging. Again, nothing is 100% foolproof, but as Yashin said, if you can differentiate your passcodes, that is going to reduce the risk, he says, by 80 to 90%. A simple way to try to keep us safe and keep your information secure.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find new.
Why are you so loud? Even me, somebody that works in technology, I'm not fantastic about having so many different passwords. I need to get better at that. Well, now I've added some other passwords to my brain. So there's some that are different. I definitely need to go through and change some. If you have an iPhone, iPhones do not use text message. Your iMessages are encrypted. So unless you're texting somebody with an Android, then they can access that. But the two-step authentication is a text message. iPhones also have a password management app, and you can go through there. It'll tell you if your passwords have been compromised, so you can make new ones. There's also like 1Password app. There's other apps out there that you can use to check it out. I'm not a fan of WhatsApp personally. Signal's another encrypted app, but if you have an iPhone, there's less that you have to worry about. I can't speak on Androids. I don't know Androids well enough, but I know that they use text messaging. So, all right. So now we're going to talk about a hero barista. Get over to some of the more positives of the day.
A San Francisco barista is being called a hero tonight after taking down an attempted robber that was trying to attack a customer yesterday morning. He held that suspect down until police arrived. And as KTVU's Amanda Quintana shows us, surveillance footage caught it all.
You can see the moment Nick Grant knows something's wrong. A man in a mask is trying to take a customer's backpack. In a split second, he's pushing a cart into the attempted robber.
I had a moment to assess the situation, but it was clear from that point that, intervention was needed.
That's when the suspects started spraying mace. The two fought until Grant took him to the ground, other customers even stepping in to help.
I was blind from their mace at that point, and I didn't really realize that there was another person there, but thankfully he was able to get the bear mace out of his hands.
Grant held the man down for 7 minutes waiting for police. We now know the man is 42-year-old Amir Monner of Concord, booked in the San Francisco County Jail for this attempted robbery and other active warrants. Saturday morning, Grant is still shaken up, but back making coffee.
I'm a little sore this morning. I'm still coughing out bear mace, but I'm good. Right on. Thanks so much. We'll have that out for you in about 5 minutes. I'm not going to let anybody like that stop me from doing what I love.
Some customers noticing the small cut on his head, making sure he's okay. Alejandro Ramirez, who works at a tattoo shop down the street, came in just to show support after seeing the video on social media.
I think it makes you happy that there's someone who cares about, his just someone who could have been a stranger to him, his backpack or whatever it was. I think that's pretty cool.
Grant says luckily he has a background in security and combat training, so he was able to step in. Unfortunately, crime like this isn't new in the neighborhood.
I'm just happy I was there. It's it's one of those things that folks can, look away in certain situations, or you can have the moment to act. And I want people to feel more empowered to act.
In San Francisco, Amanda Quintana, KT.
Yeah, I don't recommend people act unless you have training in some way. Yeah, I actually have bear mace in my bag. I have it in my purse. I was worried thinking that he worked at Starbucks and was worried he was going to get fired. But looks like it is a private cafe. So he did not get fired and he still has his job. He definitely is a hero jumping in. He knew what he was doing, and it looked like an older gentleman that had the backpack stolen. And of course, yeah, San Francisco, pretty brazen, just walk in and grab somebody's backpack. But, he's got the mask on, he's got the hood up. You can only see the person's eyes, and that's it. And that's become a frequent thing, unfortunately. So thank you to that barista. Appreciate you very, very much. So now we're going to move on to my favorite part. All right, so I have some animals in the news stories. I have 3 this morning, and the first 2 are not anything furry.
Happy birthday to you.
With this jolly jingle and a warm welcome, you'd be forgiven for thinking these colourful creatures are the stars of this wildlife sanctuary on England's east coast. But look a little further and you'll find the real VIPs.
Here we go.
These parrots can squawk some of the saltiest swear words this side of the 7 seas, persecuting visitors and staff alike.
I heard that. As I'm walking past, I might hear a parrot say, "Oh, you fat bee." And you think, oh, that's not really good. I don't really want that. And then one will just tell you to F off. But then when you walk past and somebody uses a C word or something like that, and you think, oh my Lord, that is a bit too much.
Their swearing has shot these parrots to international stardom, with fans flocking to hear England's famous foul-mouthed birds.
I'm not offended, so don't bother me at all.
Yeah.
You're not offended either,
No,
right?
no, not easily offended.
No.
To be honest, when they're mixing with the other parrots, I think they'll probably just stop swearing with a bit of luck and be like parrots should be.
All behave yourself.
Thankfully, the staff are just as entertained as the visitors.
You can never tell them not to because we laugh too much at it. So, and the public love it as well. When they come up and the parrots are talking to them and they tell them to go somewhere, the last that you get, you can hear them across the park, which is just, it's really nice to hear.
Blame lies with 5 particularly profane parrots. Sanctuary CEO Steve took them in from private homes during the COVID pandemic. To his surprise, all 5 could swear. Concerned they'd ruffle a few feathers, Steve hatched a plan.
We integrated them to a bigger group of parrots. And most parrots, they learn all the common noises like vehicles reversing or microwaves, or you can hear like telephone noises. And the general idea was, if these rogue parrots heard more of the common noises, they'd stop using the swear words. It didn't really work. There was one or two of them that picked up the swear words.
These highly intelligent African greys are quick learners. And with another sound now picking up steam, Steve has a new problem on his hands.
People teach them farting noises. And they do it at the most inopportune times and I can hear them. And they'll do everything from a very short noise to a really long noise. Then his head starts bobbing and he starts laughing himself and walks away. And you think, oh no, not another one. So between swearing and farting, I don't know if it's a good place to bring your kids.
To Steve's relief, the parrots across the sanctuary are still PG. They're yet to pick up the profanities, but they do hear their naughty neighbours are very funny.
Yeah, so what happens is people get these very intelligent parrots and then they pick up the language and then they don't like that the birds are cursing and they give them to sanctuaries. I've seen this in the US too. And when it was singing happy birthday, I swear it had a British accent. So yes, the adorable swearing parrots. So the next story is an owl who just wanted it to be a star.
All right. You know, many people top their Christmas trees with things like stars or angels. Well, this Arlington family got quite the surprise this week when they realized their topper had been replaced. Turns out an owl flew down their chimney and did a little redecorating. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey actually spoke with the family and the owl's rescuer.
When the Animal Welfare League of Arlington got a call on Wednesday night that an owl had flown down a family's chimney and into the house, Sergeant Spencer Murray expected he'd actually find a much smaller bird someone mistakenly thought was an owl.
When I walk in, lo and behold, there was an owl.
This was the scene in the Burgoyne family house, an owl who'd become a very special Christmas tree topper, much to the delight of the 6- and 3-year-old girls watching with their dad.
He's like, this is the perfect spot.
He's like on top of the tree.
The natural question for Spencer?
How are you going to get that guy out?
The family's video capturing the owl fly back and forth from treetop to kitchen cabinets. Susanna first spotted it earlier in the evening on the baby's high chair before it landed on the tree.
And I'm like very personally sad that there's no Hogwarts enrollment letter that it came with. It's magical, Christmas moment that it felt comfortable on top of the Christmas tree. It knocked over our star.
In his 4 years rescuing animals, this is only the second owl Spencer's encountered.
It was one of my favorite calls that I've ever responded to. And, it's just a picture perfect moment of the owl looking at us while on top of the Christmas tree.
And as soon as this photo was posted on the Welfare League social media pages, the comments came pouring in. One reading, "This is so magical and so beautiful. Next year's Christmas card for the family." The Burgoynes reflecting on the very special experience.
Yeah, it was a beautiful animal. We felt super lucky. We were very sad to see it leave. I mean, it was gorgeous, and to watch it fly back and forth silently in our house was so cool. The kids they loved it.
But that moment of departure, also magical. Just listen to the 6-year-old.
Oh, there he goes.
Off into the night, leaving behind some Christmas magic and a story this family will tell for years to come. In Arlington, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.
A magical owl indeed. Did you see the owl? The picture is perfect. And I love hearing the little girl laugh. Her laughter watching that owl was priceless. By the way, this could inspire a whole new kind of tree topper. Julie told us several people posted they're already putting owl decorations on top of their trees.
Why not? Why not? I love owls. I think that they're beautiful. When I lived on a farm, that we would get, owls in the barn, and I saw a very beautiful white owl when I was a kid. I just think that they're the way that their feathers are and their face, and they're just, they're beautiful creatures. And I don't know, you guys need to Google owl's legs, where someone like pulls up the feathers and they just have these long legs that you can't see under their feathers. Oh, yesterday at work, speaking of birds, yesterday at work, there was this little bird and it was just chilling in the parking lot. And it was on the ground. And I'm like, oh no, are you okay? And like, I keep getting closer to it and it lets me get close. So I'm like, oh no, it must be injured. So I grab it and I pick it up and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this bird now. But then it flew off. So I don't know why it let me do that. Apparently, I am a Disney princess. So far at this parking lot, I have encountered a rattlesnake and this bird. So yeah, it's official. Anyway, next story is the viral stuffed animal and the animal that inspired it this holiday season.
They're some of the biggest little critters on Earth.
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
And far less scary than the ones made famous in The Princess Bride. We're talking capybaras, hailing from South America, the largest rodent in the world, and can grow to more than 4 feet long. And they're seemingly at the top of everyone's Christmas list this year, fueled by social media hype from zoo trips around the world.
Come with me to the Capybara Onsen in Japan.
To a viral song. Even embraced by Disney in the hit kids movie Encanto, in just a passing role. Now, everyone wants their own plush version, that is.
Now we have a huge trend with capybaras.
At Jellycat, they go for more than $40 and have glowing 5-star reviews. Build-A-Bear's Christmas-themed capybara viewed 1,800 times in the last day. Not to mention the $98 giant one. But Pusheen all sold out for the holidays. Note the one per customer disclaimer. The viral rodent even making an appearance on our NBC News colleague's Christmas sweater today. The capybara taking the mantle from the axolotl, the endangered amphibian that was last year's viral critter. Like the sloth, the llama, or the narwhal before them.
There's always been your core stuffed animals, unicorns, turtles, bears, that type of thing. But in the last, I would say, 5 to 8 years, social media trends are the ones that have burst things onto the scene.
The trends sometimes making it hard for the toy industry to keep up. But with stuffies, they have to. With consumer research firm Circana saying global sales skyrocketing from $1.3 billion in the first half of 2021 to $2.2 billion in the same frame of this year, not even counting the holidays yet. So what's driving it? In part, adults.
Hi, my name is Teddy Ruxpin.
Some fueled by nostalgia.
What's that? It's my Furby.
Now at McDonald's, your kids can get teeny beanie babies and a Happy Meal.
Others by a need for comfort.
Especially during 2020, 2021, when we were all feeling a little more isolated, we were all looking for that way to connect and to have those social, emotionally intelligent toys. So that's been really trendy lately. I think that plush is a big part of that.
Sales of toys to adults are up. Circana saying toy purchases for people 18 and older are up 8% in the U.S. over the last year, and now creeping up on 20% of all toy sales. And though numbers are hard to find on stuffed animals, Squishmallow telling Time magazine that almost 2/3 of buyers who purchase the toys for themselves are between the ages of 18 and 24.
Well, I think that the benefits of play, they don't stop when you're a kid.
Now, many finding comfort in the 100-pound relative of the rat.
The really, really big rat. Yeah, can we just focus in on the fashion choice of Brian Jones?
Shout out to Leon and Standards for hooking this up.
Could you turn around? Could you do a little twirl?
Yeah, I'll just do kind of quick. Like, here's the back. Happy holidays to everyone out there.
Oh
we're keeping it on theme.
That is a really nice sweater, Brian.
Thank you very much.
I can't wait to get one myself.
I'll hook you.
How do they feed this demand?
Okay, I don't need to hear about the demand and what all that stuff. Cute sweater though, not as cute as my sweater. This is my Christmas sweater. Love my dinosaur sweater. I got it on Amazon. It's great quality too. It wasn't that expensive. So I'm very happy with the sweater. I wore it to the ugly Christmas sweater party, even though I don't think it's ugly. And I have 2 green Christmas dinosaurs in my front yard because I love dinosaurs, if you can't tell. And Ghostbusters. All right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming tomorrow yet. I have to figure that out. So make sure you are following me on Kick. Make sure you're following me on Twitter so that way you know when I'm going to be streaming. I will be back Christmas Eve and Christmas. I'm trying to figure out what time. So I will be back, like I said, Christmas Eve and Christmas. I might do New Year's Eve again like I did. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I have to do some testing and work out the kinks with the music, the issues that I was having last time. But yeah, I'm off Christmas Eve. So I definitely want to hang out with you guys. I don't have as much time as I used to, but I'll be back in the morning soon. After the new year, things will slow down a little bit. Well, I love you guys. I appreciate you all being here so very much. So go have a great Saturday, spread some positivity, do some self-care, take care of yourself. I appreciate you all. Love you. See you next time. Bye, y'all.